the former Prime Minister, the former Vice President, all leaders present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. This state ceremony is convened pursuant to Article 115 of the Constitution for the presidential assent of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2024. The bill was considered and passed by both houses of Parliament, with the Senate granting its seal of approval on 17th June 2024, followed by the National Assembly on 20th June 2024. The bill establishes a roadmap for kick-starting the process of recruitment of the chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Additionally, the bill expands the criteria for eligibility to serve as members of the Commission by adding expertise in accounting or information and communication technology to the existing professional qualification, which include electoral affairs, management, finance, governance, public administration, and law. Your Excellency, with both houses of Parliament having discharged their lawmaking mandate, Your Excellency, as the head of state and government, is most graciously invited to exercise your presidential prerogative as vested in you by Article 115 of the Constitution to assent to this legislation. Your Excellency, sir, permit me to now invite the Clerk of the National Assembly to convey the vellum copies of the bill for Your Excellency's presidential assent.
These vellum copies have the consent of the Speaker of the Houses of Parliament to present these vellum copies before you for your assent. This bill, Your Excellency, is the first bill to anchor the resolutions of the Houses of Parliament with respect to the NADCO report. You recall, Your Excellency, the NADCO report was authored by a committee which was led by the former Vice President, Dr. Kalonzo Musyoka, and the leader of Majority Party in the National Assembly, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah. The Houses of Parliament adopted the report, both of them, and thereafter the attendant bills were published, the first one being the Iebc Amendment Bill, which was initially introduced and passed in the National Assembly in the month of May, sent to the Senate, and the Senate also passed it on 11th of June with amendments, and the amendments passed by the Senate were approved by the National Assembly on the 20th of June. Your Excellency, this bill gives a roadmap to the formation of the IEBC. It commences with the IEBC selection panel, which will now comprise of 9 persons who are to be nominated in a competitive and transparent process by certain bodies, first of them being the Parliamentary Service Commission, which is required to nominate 2 persons. The political parties liaison committee is required also to nominate 3 persons. The Law Society of Kenya, 1 person. There's 1 person to be nominated by the Iebc, and 2 persons to be nominated by the Interreligious Council. The bodies which are nominating more than 2 persons, Your Excellency, are required to also observe the 2/3 gender rule, so as to ensure that the completeness of the panel observes the 2/3 gender rule as required under our Constitution. The bill, Your Excellency, also amends certain provisions relating to the term of the Secretary to the Commission, giving the Secretary a term of 4 years, renewable once. Your Excellency, the bill also amends certain provisions relating to facilitation of IEBC with respect to its role on delimitation of boundaries, Your Excellency. Allow me to join the rest. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Your Excellency, Article 135 of the Constitution requires every presidential action be under the hand and seal of the President. Sir, permit me now to invite you to affix the public seal of the Republic of the State. Excellency, in a symbolic display of the interdependence between the legislature and the executive in the management and public affairs, I kindly request that you hand over a copy of the Act to His Excellency the Deputy President, Attorney General for publication in law, the speakers of both houses of Parliament, the former Prime Minister, the former Vice President, as well as the leadership of both houses in the majority and minority party. Your Excellency, you will open.
Your Excellency, your assent to the Iebc Amendment Bill, being the first of the National Dialogue Committee report bills, one of the 9 bills, Your Excellency, marks the beginning of a very important process to our country in the reconstitution of a new Iebc Commission. Your Excellency, let me take this opportunity to assure you and the country that all the other 8 bills that emanated from the NADCO report are in process in both houses. We had divided the bills between the 2 houses of Parliament, and I want to give all of you assurances of both houses that we shall expedite in the processing of these bills with top priority. Your Excellency, in conclusion, let me just say that this assent of this bill not only marks a hallmark in our nation's endeavor to reconstitute a new IEBC, but also buttresses the importance of dialogue in our country, because these bills have emanated from a process where we all came together as a country to dialogue, and through dialogue we've been able to surmount most of the challenges that faced our country at the time we came together as NADCO. And I am certain, Your Excellency, even now and moving forward, this signifies that new move that through dialogue we can talk to each other and be able to surmount all the challenges that bedevil our country.
Your Excellency, our President, Dr. William Ruto, Your Excellency, the former Prime Minister, Your Excellency, the former Vice President, the leadership of our 2 houses, members of the executive, and the press, Your Excellency, it's a great morning for this country because the constitution of the IBC is a great step for our democracy. I want to thank you for the leadership that you have accorded this country in difficult times, and you are acceding to have the report that was bipartisan is a great step in the right direction in this country. In the situation we are in, we want to call upon the people of Kenya that violence begets violence. Now that the President has accepted to have a discussion with our young population, with our leaders, we call upon the people of Kenya to give dialogue a chance, to give consultation a chance, get off the streets, stay away from destruction of property, because Kenya is greater than all of us. And I think, Your Excellency, you have the capacity to lead us in that direction where there is consultation and all Kenyans are able to agree on the way forward. With those few remarks, it's my duty to ask Your Your Excellency to address the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy President. Your Excellencies, Mr. Vice President, former Prime Minister, former Vice President, the two speakers of our National Assembly and Senate, leaders of majority, fellow leaders present here. Welcome to this occasion. The National Dialogue Committee, established last year, resulted from the closing of ranks across the political divide to forge consensus on a number of priority national issues, including the reconstitution of the Iebc. Today's assent of the Iebc Amendment Bill therefore marks a significant step in the actualization of one of the recommendations of NADCO and testifies to our country's ability to navigate difficult, complex, and sometimes divisive issues that could undermine our national cohesion, undermine our stability and security if we leave it unattended. The signing of this bill paves way for the establishment of the selection panel for the appointment of Iebc commissioners. The Iebc remains a cornerstone of our democracy, responsible for overseeing regular elections at various levels, and on the overall, ensuring that our electoral cycle is managed transparently and administered in an impartial, neutral, efficient, accurate, and accountable manner. I concur with leaders who have said there must be professionalism and integrity as part of the cardinal principles of the men and women who will be charged with the responsibility of overseeing our elections. The spirit of NADCO is the spirit of unity, bipartisanship, and consensus building, values which have helped our nation overcome its most challenging moments. Even as I assent to this bill, I look forward to supporting and facilitating any other outputs of the national consensus that was NADCO to ensure that Kenya moves forward and with as many hands on deck as is possible. The leadership of Parliament, both on the majority and minority sides, have heard what the leaders here have said, and they should proceed with dispatch and expedite the other recommendations that are contained in the NADCO report and process the necessary bills and interventions that are necessary for us to actualize the output of that report. Beyond NADCO, we are currently engaged in discussions as a country about our economy. As we know, the country has faced a series of economic shocks, including COVID-19 pandemic, globally high interest rates, and devastating droughts and floods, events which have impacted negatively on our economy and our capacity to secure resources for development and to also meet our debt service obligations. In the last 2 years, we have put in our best efforts to mobilize domestic and external resources to accelerate our economic program, pull the country back from the danger of debt distress, and set us on a path of economic transformation. These efforts have strengthened the Kenya shilling, reduced fuel prices at the pump, and lowered the cost of living, including the cost of essential household commodities. This year, my administration presented revenue-raising measures through the Finance Bill 2024, which were aimed at not only consolidating the economic recovery program, but also propelling the country to the next phase of investing in key social and economic infrastructure projects to advance our development agenda and reduce on our debt burden. However, many voices expressed disapproval of these proposals, leading me to drop the bill and terminate the process. It therefore means that apart from the people of Kenya asking us to consider alternative means of raising revenue, which I agree with, there is general consensus that the country requires to confront and address long-standing priority national issues, including national debt, public expenditure and anti-corruption measures so as to release resources for creating opportunities, creating jobs, and creating wealth. As a way of charting the future from the current situation we are facing, I welcome all the leaders here, and I have heard what they have said this morning, and all other stakeholders, working together for us to address the current economic situation through a broad-based political arrangement and to rally the country forward, as has been said by the former Prime Minister. And therefore, we have yet another opportunity as a country, Kenya being the resilient people we always are, to come together and figure out the future of our country in a manner that makes sure that we address the existential challenges and threats that face our nation. And that's the reason why I set up a committee to work and audit our debt, for us to interrogate our expenditure, and for us to work on anti-corruption. I want to encourage Parliament to expedite the conflict of interest bill that will support our anti-corruption measures, especially in relation to public officers. And I am hopeful that these are some of the conversations that we will be engaged in going forward. I am very confident that, as always, Kenya knows how to pull together, and leaders know how to come together in the best interest, not of individuals, not of parties, but the collective body of the Kenyan people. And I look forward to working with leaders, as I have said, going forward on a broad-based political mechanism that will see us steer the country to the future. Thank you very much to all the leaders here. Asanteni sana to the people of Kenya. Wish you well, and God bless our great country.
More radio, 88.2 FM.